The following presentation is on LGBT discrimination in America. Multiple members of the LGBT community will be interviewed on many questions. Trigger warning. Some questions may instigate negative thoughts, emotions, or reactions. If you exhibit any of these thoughts, please contact the National Suicide Hotline or the Trevor Project for LGBTQ youth. Both numbers will be in the description. Right, so your name is not to be disclosed for the sake of this video, but you are from Texas, you are 15, and your orientation is gay.
Yeah.
Your name is Ricky Frenzy, you are from Pennsylvania, 16 years of age, and you are gay?
That's correct.
Your name is Jonathan Dameron, you are 15, from Texas, and you identify as gay?
Yep.
Your name is Jonathan Shinoda. You are from California, 18 years of age, and bisexual.
Correct.
So your name is Kate. You are from New Jersey, 16 years old, and your orientation is bisexual?
Yeah.
Your name is Derek. You are from Florida, and you are 17, and your orientation is pansexuality?
Yes, sir.
Your name is Caitlin. You are from Louisiana, 14, and your sexuality is pansexual?
That's correct.
For the sake of this interview, you have chosen to remain anonymous, but you are from Illinois, 18 years of age, and you identify as demisexual, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
What would you define pansexuality as? Because a lot of people have differing opinions on it.
Well, it's not really something that I just have a basic definition. It's kind of
abstract?
Yeah, it's abstract, but the most simplified version I have seen is hearts, not parts.
It's more based off of what you see in someone's personality, not just off of a lust-based, just a sexual type deal.
Well, I think that a lot of people, just like with pansexuality, they have a very poor grasp on what demisexuality is. So how would you describe it to somebody from the outside looking in?
For most people, just because it's easier to explain right off the bat, I would just say I'm usually not attracted to anyone, to sort of divert it. But for someone I know better, or for someone who I expect would care, I would describe it as being attracted to personalities instead of bodies.
I feel like some people of the pansexual community, they would kind of find this conflicting with what is, to some of them, their own sexual definition. So what do you have to say in regards to the relation between demisexuality and pansexuality? Is there a relation?
I kind of think there is, but that's just me, because from what I've read and from what I understand, a lot of demisexuals don't really see gender in the same way that pansexuals don't. But I believe that the relationship is better understood when you mentally place demisexuality on the asexuality spectrum rather than on the gay spectrum. Because if pansexuals are halfway between straight and gay, and demisexuals are halfway between sexual and asexual, then they technically wouldn't cross unless you were somewhere on both.
Regarding the LGBT community, do you think that it alone is capable of achieving equality, or is outside help necessary?
I think there is equalness, but there's no respect. And I guess you can say that isn't equal.
So you're saying that, LGBT people, they can kind of achieve their goals in life, but they still suffer oppression from society?
Who doesn't?
I think it's to an extent, because we're never going to really get anywhere unless we do have the help of other people, because I don't think that everybody's going to be, part of the community, but I think we can do a lot of things on our own.
By ourselves, we're just going to become so clustered with just us.
We can achieve it together, but outside help would be greatly appreciated. I mean, without outside help, I don't think we would have gotten as far as we have now, but if outside help decided not to really help as much, I'm pretty sure we'd still make it.
Help is kind of a necessity, because if you keep within the boundaries of this community, it kind of seems something that doesn't really have significance. It's like a club. But that's not what it is, and people need to realize that the LGBT community is actually just another set of human beings.
Do you believe that there are any misleading stereotypes or misconceptions against your orientation that should probably be addressed?
I think there are, but I don't think they're as harsh as some of them. Like, a lot of people just straight up don't believe demisexuality exists.
Yep.
Like what?
Like, I'm supposed to talk funny, and I'm supposed to not know how to fight. Hey, that's a good one.
They just assume every gay man is flamboyant, or looks some type of way, talks or acts some type of way. It's not like that.
People get annoyed because they think it's like not a real sexuality and that we flip-flop.
People who are bi or believe to be, what's the word? We can't make up our minds. That's what people think, that we cannot make up our minds, because it's either we're just waiting to choose one or the other, when in reality we're fine with both.
How do you feel about the stereotype, I'm not sure if you ever heard this, but that bisexuals are not able to commit because they like both genders and they'll want the other?
That is completely false. Because right now, currently I have a girlfriend, and we have been together for over a year, and we've been staying strong and just been staying together. I have no need for the other gender.
So have you attempted suicide or self-harm or anything of that sort?
Yeah.
Was it related to your orientation or out of fear for what people would think?
No, it wasn't out of orientation.
Yeah.
And was it related to your orientation or out of fear for what people might think of you?
With that and a lot of other things.
Yes.
Not for sexuality reasons.
I haven't attempted, no.
I personally have never attempted self-harm or suicide.
Not really, because I've been keeping it, my orientation on the down low. I've considered self-harm, but it's for different reasons.
Yes and no. I've attempted suicide. I never physically hurt myself, but I was going to attempt, but my dad stopped me and I had to go to the hospital. And it was not connected to the orientation, but it was just kind of things that were going on in my life at the time. I think I was in denial as well. And that factored in, but at the time that wasn't a huge factor.
Do you know anybody that was LGBTQ otherwise, who has run away or attempted suicide or any of those sort of, measures over their sexuality?
Sadly, plenty of people. A lot of people. I would want to say a number, but there's been so many where I've lost track.
Yeah, one of my best friends, he tried to kill himself.
Yes. I know a few people at school that have harmed themselves. They haven't killed themselves. But I know people that are not just lesbian or gay or bisexual or transsexual, but I know people that are asexual as well, or pansexual. There's so many sexualities, it's hard to remember them all.
My friend Holly, and she was scared to tell her mom that we were a thing.
Yes, I have known people in both cases, and while it tended to be because of the sexual preference and the tension that was going on at home, or their friends, or I don't know, their uncle, whatever. I mean, people get stressed out about this because they're afraid that in one way or another they're going to be cast out because of their sexuality, and they just can't take it.
No, I've had friends who thought of it, but I don't know if it was any LGBTQ discrimination reasons.
I did know one gay boy who was 13 at the time, who I knew was self-harming.
Did you know that it was in regards to his orientation?
Well, it's hard to say it was in regards to it, but that's what was making his life miserable.
No.
You, by this time, come out of the closet, quote unquote, as many people put it.
Well, yes and no. I'm in and out. I had a couple of coming outs over the years as different things as I was sort of trying to figure it out. I've finally settled, I think, on what I am. And so I haven't really, since settling, found an opportunity to come out to very many people in the real world. I tell people on the internet because they ask more often, but like I haven't talked to my family about it yet.
I spent maybe the first 14 years in there, maybe 13, 14 years, and then finally I realized that all my clothes in there were really gaudy. I needed to come out, buy some more, but
Oh my god.
yeah, no, it's just...
I've came out to some people, but I haven't been as open about it as I want to be.
Yeah.
To one, since I currently have a girlfriend, there's not much reason to tell people, and two, because, like I said, the threats, things of the sort.
My friend Thomas.
But in general, it's kind of like locked away.
Yeah.
No, I have not.
To people at school, but as bi, because no one really knows what pansexual is, and since I'm trying to do work, I kind of just want to keep it simple. And I've only come out to my mom.
Yeah.
And how did people react?
It was alright, it was fun. Nobody really cared though, it was cool.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was actually fun. I enjoyed it.
Why?
In fact, no, okay, it was nervous at first because I didn't know, but then it was fun afterwards because I just like telling people to see their reaction. It was fun.
So even if it was negative, you'd just like have a laugh at it?
No, I'd hit him in the face, but it's okay. Just kidding. I don't promote violence.
Of course. Of course you don't.
But
So, what's stopping you from coming out?
I think just my dad. He's extremely homophobic.
Parents.
Yeah. And do you know for a fact that they're homophobic, or is it an assumption?
Just my dad.
Just your dad?
My family being total Christians and me being scared and wanting to be beat.
So, do you think you'd be happier or more comfortable if you were able to come out as who you are? Why or why not?
I would feel more comfortable, and my family, like, if they would understand, I would feel more comfortable around them. I would talk to them a lot more, since I do isolate myself because of that reason and many others.
Yeah, that's discrimination. But as of right now, it's not a good point.
I think so.
Why would you think that you would be happier?
Because it's a lot of my life that I wouldn't have to hide.
Yeah. You wouldn't have to live something that's not you.
Yeah.
I want to be like, I support this. I am one of these people. I think these are great people, but it's like I can't be this. There's some people some important people to me that would look down on it. I know some of my family members would be against it.
Yeah. And do you think that this is the biggest impact on why you're afraid?
Mainly the biggest impact, because there's such kind people, but then again, I've seen really nice people turn rancid just because of different views.
So are you comfortable with your sexuality as it stands?
Well, as I said, I've flip-flopped a lot. So
Yeah.
currently, yeah, I am, but I'm a little apprehensive of whether I will remain that comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I've had 15 years to dwell on it. Only about 10 of them actually knowing what it meant. But, I mean, I've had time to accept it.
I'm completely comfortable with it. Like, I would usually tell most of my friends, because I'm comfortable they won't be spreading it around, and they're comfortable with it. Like, sure, they do believe in a few misconceptions, but I always screw that up with them.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't I be? It, like, isn't the whole, like, You're supposed to be yourself.
I'm very comfortable with it. I mean, in my own words, in my opinion, if you don't like how I am, then just don't be my friend and don't talk to me.
Yes, that is very true.
Oh, I'm fine with it.
Yup.
What age did you realize that you're LGBT then?
Shoot. Oh. 14.
Really? Is it just a year ago?
Yeah.
A couple of months ago, actually, Holly, we were just kind of sitting there, and she kind of confessed something that I found a little strange. She's like, well, you do know that I like you, right? So I always thought she was completely straight, but apparently she likes the way I'm really strong around her, and I guess I'm just the male figure in her life.
Oh, jeez. I was calling myself straight until I was like 15.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I've kind of always known, and I've always kind of been in denial. It's just, I've always lied to myself, but I've always been truthful to myself, if that makes sense.
That's a big problem with me is age. I don't really know, like, probably late 8th grade year or freshman year, or like early freshman year.
Well, I never really admitted it to myself, but I knew since I was like 12.
13 to 14, between those ages.
When I was around 11.
Do you think that's something that you were born with, or a choice that you had at some point in your life?
I believe it was actually something I was born with. I just never came to full realization of it until afterwards.
I was born with it.
Why do you think that?
Because I tell you, I did some weird things as a child that I didn't think about till like last week, actually. So
I believe that it depends upon various of things. You can make the choice, but if you've stuck with it almost your entire life and you're trying to change at like 20 something, it's not gonna work. So it depends on the environment you're raised around.
I really don't know. I mean, I've always looked at it as taste buds. Like, some people like vanilla ice cream, some people like chocolate ice cream. You know? It depends on the person. I don't know.
Can you imagine growing up in a world where it doesn't matter, so you can be whatever, and so you don't really feel the need to put a label on it, and you have a label that kind of fits, but you're not really sure, and then you finally hear this word, and you read about this word, and you're like, that's it, that's what it was. So it's not that I chose it, it's that I found it.
It's not like one size fits all. You have to find that perfect match.
Yeah.
So that would...
I don't know. It's kind of hard to figure it out because it happens to certain people at different times.
Yeah.
So I don't really know.
I believe that your sexuality is something you're born with. Sexuality doesn't make up somebody's character. You know, and maybe, just maybe if you're lucky, that'll open up somebody's eyes. I can only accept what I've gotten and try and use that confidence to, you know, help other people through maybe less fortunate coming out.
And kind of make it a reality for future generations.
Exactly, yeah. You need to set a good example of acceptance and love before you can expect a change.
Alright, is there anything else that you'd like to add that you think I left out regarding LGBT discrimination in America, or anything of that sort?
This is more for people who tend to hate him. I would just like you to consider, what if someone did the same thing to you? They threatened you just because you're religious or just because you're straight. They told you that they're gonna kill your family, they're gonna beat you up, they're gonna do messed up torture to you or everyone you love or care about just because you're straight just because you're black, just because you're white, just because you're a woman, just because you're a guy, just because you're of that religion. Just take into consideration, what if you're in that same scenario, but they're hating you for something else? That's all I got.
Well, other than be yourself and don't let anyone else stop you. And I mean, just wait. Wait until you can be on your own. If you're scared your parents are going to kick you out, just wait and then tell them. And then they might be alright with it, but if they're not, then don't let them stop you. Don't let them bully you into submission like I have been the past few years of my life. Just don't let them do that to you. It's not right.
Something very short, plain, and simple. Take it from someone who's been through not nearly as rough a time as some people, but through some bad things. It gets better, and it really does. And it's not just something that the Trevor Project started that people catch on to now. It's not a bandwagon. It's a real thing, because you're you for a reason, and nobody else can be you the same way that you can. So you might as well do it up.
A lot of the people who are causing the problems aren't bad people.
Yeah.
They're just misled. They don't understand what they're doing or the real damage that it can cause.
It's sort of like the what they're raised to believe. It's like you're not really taught any differently, so.
And that's it. Having grown up in a place where a lot of people are raised religiously, you sort of get accustomed to not blaming people more easily. Because I think there's this sort of cultural norm of like, well, if you think that, then you're a horrible person, but if they have never, not gone to church on a Sunday, if they have never lived away from their parents' house and their parents are horribly bigoted, then they're not the problem.
So is that all you'd like to say? Is there anything that, anything, short, cheesy, inspirational that you'd like to say to the, to anybody that might be watching this video from the inside out?
To the little gaylings out there?
The little gaylings out there, maybe the little straighties that just,
it's something I've heard a couple times, and it's something that means a lot to me. Be on the right side of history. If you really feel the need to dig your heels in, that's your choice, but at the end of the day, you're the number in a textbook, and Martin Luther King Jr. is the one with a name.
Whoa, that's pretty effective. I've never actually heard anybody say that before, but...
Oh yeah, no, people outside the Supreme Court were holding signs that said, be on the right side of history. It's a saying.
Wow. It's definitely a good one. Alright. Well, thank you.
I know the cliche on YouTube is it gets better, but I mean, I guess it does, but I wouldn't know. The journey's not over. I'm not the Mordor yet. Yeah, I'm a nerd. So, I mean, I guess that's it.
Learn to accept people for who they are, not of what they like and you don't like.